You know, if there's one thing that's been said about us Brits is the fact that we don't convey emotion. You know what I'm saying, chumps? Absolutely. I mean, it's difficult, isn't it? Because when you're British, it's all about that infamous stiff upper lip, you know, the sort of thing I mean. I don't know, I think the last time I cried was when I literally had to open my wallet when things were a little bit too pricey. I'm jesting, of course, but the thing is, Brits are renowned for that, you know, and that's part and parcel of our culture. I think what's happened over the last few years, we've seen people bursting into tears at the drop of a hat, and it's just not the done thing. Every other week now, there's a TV presenter on the news getting emotional, and suddenly that becomes the headlines of, oh, you know, it was terrible, all that sort of stuff. And you think, really, the story shouldn't be about you. When you look back to newscasters, well-respected ones, it didn't matter how horrific the story was, they kept their composure, grace, meaning that the story was on the focus of the story, right? Rather than them. This is the trouble with the narcissistic world that we now live in. But when you think about it, and, you know, you do look back at this and think, I can't really recall Her Majesty the Queen, Queen Elizabeth, the late Queen, really only showing that emotion, I think probably on 3 occasions. And also this was in the latter part of her reign. You know, when you get a bit older, you feel more emotional, don't you? You can't stop it, you can't help it. But now, Queen Camilla over here in the United Kingdom is being berated. As ever, let me explain. Morning, good to see you, chums. Thank you so much for your time today. And as ever, lovely to have your company. When did you last shed a tear? Seriously, it's difficult, isn't it? Because you're seeing all these bad things around you, and it's very hard, you know, when you look at, say, terrible situations in war zones and just poverty on the streets of, say, I see a lot of British Army veterans always take time out to have a chat with anybody, in fact, really, because that might be the only conversation they have that day. And I know you're thinking, goodness, a little bit with you, Neil, but the thing is, I'm pulling your leg, but you know what I mean? It's just that connection of somebody that really you have to think, well, you don't know what sort of day they're having, and however bad your day is, I'm sure others is far worse. This is the problem that's now really engulfed Queen Camilla. As you know, she accompanied His Majesty the King, King Charles, to the VJ commemorations recently, and I thought it was very moving, didn't you? I love the old man, and I don't mean that disrespectfully, at 103, dapper with his trilby on, addressing, went off kilter, spoke to His Majesty about his own cancer battle, and it was just very normal, very moving, and you could see that Charles in fact enjoyed the conversation, you know, somebody just going off script, having a chat person to person, because they're both going through or have gone through the same thing. However, the focus was on the Queen, and of course, you know, if you may know or may not know, Queen Camilla got very emotional during the ceremony. And of course, you know, it's difficult. You know, I would say it's very difficult because, you know, she's at the point literally where, and I don't mean this unkindly, Mom, but you're at an age where you're looking at things that have gone on in their life, and she just literally became very emotional. Behind the scenes, though, she was very angry with herself because she said she felt that she let a lot of people down. And I just, you know, I wanted to share this with you because, as you know, I have excellent contacts, and I just wanted to let her know via our wonderful community and channel here, there's nothing wrong in that, you know, it's an emotional moment, isn't it? A wonderful performance also given by the soul singer Ruby Turner. That was very emotive too. But not only that, apparently Queen Camilla said, you know, the reason why she didn't like what happened was she said she knew the media would pick up on her tears. And the thing should be all about the wonderful, brave men and women that did so much wonderful things for us back in that particular period. And naturally, yes, the media did pick up on that. But as my source pointed out to me, you know, she said, look, it was also the fact that it goes back to the British thing, doesn't it? And she's of that generation, stiff upper lip. Even His Majesty the King, I knew was getting a bit emotional because when he tilted his head, the peak of his hat meant that you couldn't necessarily see. But we've seen it and we know. Now, I don't know about you, but does the Queen have anything to be, well, wronged about? And why would the media and social media go online and attack somebody for showing true, heartfelt emotion for so many of those wonderful people that have gone before? I don't know about you, but I found it very moving indeed. And I would like to say thank you to Her Majesty the Queen and His Majesty the King for highlighting that commemorative day. It needed it. Amongst everything else, we should never forget all of those wonderful people that gave so much, though, so that we can have the lives that we have today. Now, anybody else agree? Neil Sean in the very heart of London.